Welcome to Unmasking Humanity 21 Questions with Joshua T. Berglund. I'm your host, Joshua T. Berglund, the founder of the World's Mayor Experience, international best-selling author, media strategist, and the architect behind the Bridge to Media Empowerment Centers. My mission, to empower creators, entrepreneurs, and change makers with the tools, knowledge, and platforms they need to control their narratives, build sustainable businesses, and use media as a force for good in the fourth and fifth industrial revolution. This show isn't just about asking questions. It's about getting real. Of course, we hear that a lot on people's shows, like we're just going to get real. But no, I mean it. We're going to get real. We strip away the mask, dive past the surface, and explore what truly makes us human. No fluff, no prepackaged answers, just raw, unfiltered conversations that challenge, inspire, and uncover the untold stories that shape our lives. And today's guest is someone who's not just breaking the mold, she's redefining it. Alison Davis is a leader in quantum health, a certified health coach, and the founder of Glow Academy. Her mission? To bring humanity back to nature from the inside out. By unlocking the power of light, water, and electromagnetism, she helps people tap into their innate healing potential. No gimmicks, no quick fixes, just the science and spirituality of what it truly means to thrive. From overcoming personal battles with depression and insomnia to rebuilding her life through the principles of quantum biology, Alison's story is as transformational as the work she's doing today. We're going to talk about the myths of modern health, the truth about energy and healing, and why the future of wellness isn't found in a prescription, but in the very fabric of nature itself. So get ready. This conversation is going to challenge what you think. It's going to challenge what you think you know about health, healing, and human potential. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome my friend, Alison Davis, to Unmasking Humanity. Alison, welcome to Unmasking Humanity. How are you?
I'm great. Oh, thank you so much, Joshua, for having me. What a great intro. I'm going to steal that. You got the best intro, actually, better than mine. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you. I even butchered it. I normally like to just read something from the heart, but then I noticed when I talk about people that I know and I really care about, I go off on these 5-minute long tangents.
I can see that.
I do it to save you, and then also the more I talk, the more my head starts to bobble. So I'm trying to keep things as short and simple as possible so I can do these interviews without too much pain. But I'm so excited to have you here because, I mean, legitimately, I consider you a friend, but you're also someone that I admire, that I'm learning from with every single video you do. And I just adore you. I mean, you're just an awesome human. So I'm very excited to have you here.
Oh, thank you so much. I see you as a wonderful friend as well. We only known each other for a very short time, but I feel like we have a very deep connection.
Yes.
So that's really, really beautiful. So thank you for the opportunity. I'm really, really excited.
Well, I'm going to have fun because these questions are not only going to help the audience get to know you, but I'm going to get to know you on a deeper level as well. And I'm really excited about this. Before we get into the 21 questions, I would love to know, Alison, what are you grateful for today and why?
Everything, Joshua. From the moment I got up, I'm grateful for good sleep, for a sunrise that behind the clouds. I know the sun rises every single day. And I'm grateful for my husband to taking care of my boys and drop them to school so I can have this amazing conversation with you, which I have no idea what questions you're going to ask me. But I'm going to be in my heart and let this conversation flow.
That's the spirit behind Unmasking Humanity. This is what I want to hear from all of my guests, not, can you send me the questions ahead of time? Like, it's called Unmasking Humanity. Like, come on, work with me here. You're not supposed to know the questions. You're like the perfect guest for this too. So I'm so excited. All right. Are you ready for your 21 questions?
I'm ready.
All right, let's go. You've been on a transformative journey, overcoming depression, insomnia, and even rebuilding a collapsed marriage. If you had to pinpoint one defining moment that changed your life's direction, what would it be?
Oh, there's so many pinpoints along this journey, but I'm going to share with you just one of them that had the most profound impact on how I see everything in this world. I had this postnatal depression that's so severe, and that impacted everything, relationship with my children, also relationship with my husband. So a few months after my second child was born, and we know that marriage is not going to work. We just fight all the time. It is a very unhappy environment. So my husband, one day, he just said, no, it's not going to work. So he left, and I was devastated. With a Chinese culture background, having a failed marriage means failed everything. I think there's something imprinted in my belief. So I was really despair. I tried everything, trying to get him back. And one friend also trying to help. He had a conversation. She had a conversation with my husband. And then she told me, Alison, I don't think there's any way back. I think you need to start moving on. And in that moment, I just had this very interesting feeling, not thinking about me anymore. I was thinking about, oh my gosh, for him to feel like this, it must be so much pain. And all I was thinking about to free him, just give him the freedom that he's been deserving like anyone. So I just said, okay, I'm going to let him go because that's the best for him. But that's the moment changed everything. Next day, we're supposed to get together and split the assets. The conversation didn't happen that way. And he talking about coming back, having a plan to come back. I was absolutely, completely shocked. Even today, I wouldn't know what happened there, but I know that's when the moment I shift from me to others. Loving, true love is not about just loving you, it's loving others, loving everyone else. And since then, I have so many moments like that when I'm change how I see things, change how I love things. Miracles happen every single time.
Oh my God. Well, the first answer made me cry. We're only one question in. My gosh. I have to, one, amazing. I don't know what came over you to even want to let go, but I want to say to you, I think you know about my family situation.
Mm.
And all I can tell you is that by doing what you did, I didn't know you did this. I don't even know why I felt led to do it, but I did. When I really let go and just really truly surrendered
Yeah.
it, and then realizing that if I really, really do love my family the way that I say that I will, that I'm going to let go and trust.
Mm.
And of course, we weren't together because of my health situation, but at the same time, I still miss my family and I wanted to be with them, and was separated from them for over 7 months without seeing them. And by letting go, it's weird how they came back.
Yeah.
And it changed
Life,
everything.
yeah,
Changed everything. Wow.
totally. Life is counterintuitive. That's what I found.
There's so much truth in that.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, the paradox of life is just like I have to remind myself life is a paradox like multiple times a day sometimes, because my immediate reactions are never really the true reaction most of the time. And it's because I'm not thinking in a paradoxical way,
Mm.
Like to
Yeah.
live, to truly live, you have to die to yourself.
Oh my
And
gosh. Yeah.
that simple one, that very simple one, yet that is so profound and meaningful, and there's more depth to that than I think our brains can even comprehend, but it's true.
Mm.
Gee, we're going to get stuck on question 1.
Yeah.
I didn't know you were coming with so much heat. It's 8 o'clock in the morning there. My goodness.
I was saying, Joshua, I don't know what you're going to ask me, but I'm going to let my heart take over. We might cry, but I'm okay with it.
I need one. So this is great. Let's go to question 2, because you may have to pack a lunch. All right. Question 2. What was the most unexpected lesson you learned from your struggles, and how did it shape your perspective on healing?
Oh, wow. That's an easy one.
Try harder next time.
All the struggles happen for us, not against us. They are here to teach us a lesson or awakening moments to help us to get where we want to go. So I believe everything in this life, whatever it looks like, is all happening for us. I mean, I've gone through such devastating a year. I think probably 1.5 years, just one after another tragedy. In the moment, I felt like, oh my gosh, the world is collapsing. Everything in the world is going against me. But after that journey, I know that's what shaped who I am today. If that's the best gift for me, what else wouldn't be? It just gives you a new perspective to see life. Every time when I see a situation or people that appears to be challenging, and I'll see is, okay, after this situation or conversation, on the other side is greatness, is strength, more wisdom and happiness, and build up me to the person or identity that I always envisioned. So how can you not to love every single moment, because everything is working for you?
Life happens for us, and the blessing is in the breaking. That's what you just said reminds me of those 2 things that I've heard and how profound they were in my life, because it made sense, not just of the suffering, but it gave meaning and purpose to it that I couldn't see in the moment. And I trained myself that every time something happened that I perceived to be bad or to hurt, I mean, even though I wasn't really perceiving it hurt because I was crying, I know it hurt, but having those trigger words can work one way or the other. They could trigger people in a bad way until you learn to reframe it in a way till it triggers you in a good way.
Yeah.
Every time that something bad would happen, I would go, life happens for us. Life happens for us. Life happens for us. Where the blessing is in the breaking. The blessing is in the breaking. And that, with the combination of learning to surrender things like immediately in real time, or that kept me, I think, on the path to not giving up. Because I would like, actually, this is not a question that's planned, but I would like your thoughts on this. But in that path to pursuing what in your heart you were created to do, your path to purpose, the hero's journey, whatever label we want to give it, it comes with so many landmines and giant mountains and things that feel like setbacks and failures. But really, those words and understanding that life is happening for us, that is one way that we can keep going, I think, is reminding ourselves. And then plus, if we see it enough at times, if we do something to stretch our faith enough, then we will see miracles enough that we don't need so many reminders that God is with us, or, this is not a setback, this is a setup, or whatever it is that we need to tell ourselves. From your perspective and choosing, you've obviously gone down a path that you feel called to, but with that, there's a lot of challenges for you. What helps you keep going? Because you're trying to blaze your own path and the trail in the way that you see it, like see with your all your eyes and and where you're feeling called to go. For you, where do you find the strength and the challenges or in those moments that feel like failure or the giant setback, or you're feeling like there's no clear path to my destiny here? You know, what am I supposed to do? Like, what do you do in those moments?
Mm. It's been a few years of practice. Now it's automatic because I instilled a new program in my subconscious mind. And I understand everything's relative. Remember Einstein's relativity theory. Everything is relative. Good and bad is the same thing on a sliding scale. Everything's a sliding scale, short and long, big and small, and failure and success is the same thing. Like depends where you see it on that scale. So when things that doesn't appear to be, beautiful or loving, I will just say, okay, that's the side I don't want to see. I want to see the other side. I want to slide across a little bit because everything's the same. If you see a challenging situation, but to me, the other side is the opportunities. So I'm just going to focus my intention, because what you give attention is what you give energy, right? That's how energy flows. So if you move from the challenging end to the opportunity end, that's what you see. So what do you see is what you're looking for. That's what I'm trying to say. If you want to see greatness and happiness or joy, just look for those. But most of us nowadays, we start into those programs, we see, not negative side of it and not so good things. And then the other side is completely beautiful, right? Why don't we just shift our attention to the other side a little bit more?
Gosh, so good.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes sense. It makes amazing sense. I'm just not going to add anything to it because what you said was perfect. It's amazing.
Yeah.
Next question. Many people feel trapped in conventional health paradigms. What was the hardest belief you had to let go of to truly embrace quantum health?
Curiosity.
Ooh.
Absolutely. Before I had to deal with my personal challenges, I was ticking all the boxes. I was eating well, going to the expensive gym like 4 or 5 times a week, and I was happy. I was the happiest, ambitious girl, that you probably ever met. But I had this severe postnatal depression. I just couldn't understand why that happened to me, because it's just two different worlds, like opposite world. So that's the moment I thought, okay, it's not about food. It's not about exercise. What is it? I wanted to find out because I was so curious. There's something that I don't know. And then I went deep down to find that answer. I've been an auditor for my entire corporate career. Like, one thing we do is ask why until we find the root cause. That's the journey I've been on. I asked so many why. I was just asking why I got stress, or what is stressing me, and why my body is giving this sensation of stress. What part of me is triggering this? So how is that part of my body works? What makes it work better? So I went down to the basic level of what makes up our body. This body we see is made up of organ systems and made up of organs and tissues and molecules and cells. And then to the basic level, that's the beautiful little atom. That's where I found the answer and the solutions for myself. And I wanted to understand how this little atom works, because I learned everything in this universe is made up of atoms. Everything is, those amazing elements on the periodic table. That's how makes up this whole universe, like the trees, the birds, even the dirt and the human, all the same thing. just different atoms. So that's how I went down to that depth, because my curiosity. I don't want to temporarily fix my problem and rely on a pill, because I don't want to give my power to that. I want to fix it all so I don't have to, deal with it ever again. That's how I started.
That's perfectly logical.
Right.
I mean, the way that you put it makes sense. It makes a lot of sense. And the thing about simplifying something so complex is that it makes it more attractive for people to try, especially when they're looking for a lifestyle change.
Yeah.
I think you simplified it in a way that kind of makes it more inviting to at least entertain the idea of living that way.
Mm.
That's a beautiful seed to plant for people. Amazing.
Yeah.
Next question. Go ahead.
No, I was just saying, if the things you've been doing for a long time don't work, it might be a sign that you need to go out the box and try something different. Well, Einstein say, if you try the same thing expecting the same result, what is called insanity, right?
Very true.
Yeah.
Number 4, you focus on light, water, and electromagnetism as the pillars of health. If you could choose only one of these to focus on for a person starting their health journey, which would it be and why?
Light. Absolutely light. Because that's the beginning of health. This universe is really deciphering the energy and the information that buried in the light. That's the story of life here. So that's the input to our body. And then the magnetism is the output of our body. And water is almost like the stage for amazing actor to do the magic. Mm-hmm. So the input is the most critical. That's light. If we can get the lights right, your body will work so beautifully, and your output, that magnetism or the electromagnetic field that we must use to connect and bond to the rest of the world, is going to be beautiful, right? They say maybe it's not appropriate, like your garbage in, garbage out. Is that what you? So if we have a good input to our body, and then the output will be automatically good. So I remember listening to my mentor a long time ago. He was talking about a quantum science that I had no understanding what he's talking about at that stage. It's really cryptic. But he said, if there's one thing the audience can take away to start transforming their health, it's just to watch sunrise for the rest of your life. Never miss sunrise. So that's what I did. In how many years? Probably 6-7 years now. I never miss the sunrise.
Wow. I used to see the sunrises from staying up all night, but I'm not about that life anymore. It's been a while. It's been about as many. When you started watching the sunrise is when I stopped.
Oh my gosh.
Staying up. Now I just need to do it for a different reason.
Yeah.
Huh. Never thought about that.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to take a deep dive in that. In that, my brain wants to understand that more, but we'll go to the next question.
Yeah.
What's a common myth or misconception about quantum health that you'd love to debunk once and for all?
UV light is toxic. That's completely not true.
Talk to me about that.
Yeah, I made a video on the healing power, the magic of UV light. It is amazing how we've been told to fear the sun, right? The UV light, we have to put sunscreen on, put the sunglasses on, and put a hat and everything, cover our skin, our eyes, so we don't get that UV light, because it causes skin cancer and give you wrinkles and all of that. I used to be one of those. I was the girl hiking in the bush holding an umbrella. How ridiculous was that? That's many years ago. But then I just ask that question, why our mother nature created something that harm us? It doesn't make sense to me. So I dove deep into UV light, and then what I found was absolutely mind-blowing. It's not only not our enemy, but it's the most life-sustaining light in the full visible spectrum. There's so many reasons, right? So, in the morning, that UVA light, together with the infrared, because the infrared is present 24/7, and is majority of our light, 47% of the light we see is infrared. And those two lights programs the most critical cellular programs. I don't want to bore you with the scientific terms, but cell division, cell suicide, and cell recycling. Those three programs is the most critical for our biology. And two of them are controlled by UV light. And one of them, which is recycling, is controlled by infrared. And if we get that wrong, how do our cells know what to do? Logical question, right?
Yeah. How do they know?
Huh?
How do they know?
Sorry?
How do they know?
Who do they know? Sorry?
You asked the question, how do they know? And I'm saying, how do they know? How do they know?
Who is they? Sorry, I just missed the question.
You okay. You said you ended your statement with how do they know? And I don't know the answer. So I'm asking you how do they know?
Well, the thing is, we've been installing this program for so many years to fear the sun, right? We see the sun as an enemy. We don't see it as an ally. So people just believe what they've been told. They never question those paradigms. Take people with very high curiosity when the things they've been doing for years don't work anymore, and they started looking for something different. So for me, looking at atoms, outside the atom is electrons. Electrons only interact with photons, the light. So you would ask the question, why the evolution put electrons in all the atoms? They are the carriers of light. So they are there to interpret the light they absorb from the sun. So if the light come to the earth, there is a purpose, there is a reason, right? So I was curious, so I wanted to go deeper to understand why we receive this light. If nature doesn't make a mistake, if it's here, must be a reason. So that really triggered me to go down that path to understand. For the viewers who is listening, you're welcome to do some fact check. This is how I started. When I hear something that's really challenging my belief, and I go fact check it, and I want to understand what's supporting that. Is it true? All of this I've discovered in the last 8 years, all available in the literatures and in the articles, in the most prestigious articles like British Journal of Medicine. They are there.
Yeah. Well, I mean, in fact checking is, part of media literacy is teaching fact checking. And, unfortunately, we don't live in a world where we can just trust the first piece of information and news that we find, especially when you're going to talk about the dangers of sunscreen. Like, those are words that, most people would think they would hear. I mean, more people are more in tune with that now. But, a lot of the cancer causing ingredient, there's cancer causing ingredients in a lot of sunscreens that we've had over the years, especially in America. My father died from melanoma. And, I've been someone that has been anti-sunscreen, and I used to make sunscreen products and sell them. I'm like, there's sun protection, and yes, there are good sun protection products, but we've given the sun a bad name and have not really appreciated it for all that it does. And I don't even understand the full nature of what the sun does for us. But over the last week alone, I've been reading about it because I've been trying to figure out what the heck they're spraying in the skies. That just happens to be when I have a clear sunny day and look outside and I'm all excited, then I see this one white plane flying with white crap flying out of it, and I'm going, well, there goes my sunny day. And sure enough, 2 hours later, it's cloudy, and it makes me wonder, like, what is that? And so that makes my curious brain go, well, how important is the sun? Because I obviously know it's important, but it's a little bit more important than we think. So much to the point that I'm absolutely not someone. I sun gaze. I've been sun gazing for, off and on for 10 years.
Yeah.
The same thing, I believe in walking barefoot, but it is a little alarming to see that the sun's getting blocked out in one way or the other. And I wonder, is this why so many people are sick? I mean, I know there's diet. I know there's the ingredients in our food, especially in America. I don't know if you have to deal with that quite like we do. We have all these dyes and artificial preservatives and things like that are horrible, that destroy our gut bacteria.
Yeah.
Everyone's got the flu here. It's just nuts. And like, I'm wondering, or, maybe it's a combination of multiple things, but the fact is there's something to the sun and our livelihood and longevity and our moods and our health, our mental health. And frankly, I look better with a tan than being white. So that's another thing. And that's a little trivial, I know, but still, I'd rather have a tan. But anyway, I'm rambling now, but it's, I think that somehow along the way, and I don't know when this happened, the sun's gotten a bad name. I don't know how they tricked people into believing that the sun caused cancer. I don't know how that happened other than propaganda, but I don't know when it started. But there sure is something to that's worth asking questions about. I won't pretend I know the answers, but there's a lot of questions to be asked and that need answers.
Yeah. Yep.
All right. Let's go to 6. You teach that the body's healing potential is innate. How do you explain this to someone deeply skeptical about anything outside of conventional medicine?
Oh, I had experience of trying to convince someone and got a big pushback. I was asking, one of my ex-coworker, before I left, she said, you've got everything together. What's your secret? And then I said, just watch sunrise in the morning. She said, what? Alison, there's $1 trillion market for supplements, all of the stuff. You're asking me to watch sunrise. I said, yes, because that helps. So I think once again, is this deep belief people being taught over the years, they must rely on something outside of them to make them feel better. And I don't know whether they're getting the benefits or the expectation they wanted, because they didn't work for them very well. Some of them probably give them boost, but then they will have problems, right? It's quick fixes. And like putting a plaster on the wound, it just doesn't fix the problems. So I think that's one of the biggest challenge, is really to help people to unmask what they've been learning over the years and then relearn what they really need to learn to help their health. That deep belief can be quite challenging. And I know from my own families, sometimes those beliefs became their identity. You're not challenging their behavior, they're challenging who they are. So that can be quite difficult. So what I'm doing is I don't want to convince people who are not ready to, to get onto this journey and take control of their house and be the healthy person they want to be. I want to just be there, live in the center of my heart, and I'm going to track those people who's ready to learn what I'm teaching.
It's a good attitude. Next question. If modern medicine suddenly adopted one quantum health principle on a large scale, which do you think would make the biggest impact on society?
I'm not optimistic that's going to happen, because modern medicine, the motivation is profit.
True. Yeah.
Right? How can they sell nature? How can they make money?
Well, I know how they do it.
I know you
go
do.
ahead, but go ahead and say what you're going to say.
Yeah, so I find this just the motivation behind it, it doesn't really align with the wisdom of nature, right? We are born with everything we need to live an extraordinary, healthy life. It's called Mother Nature, right? We are given life by nature. So that's the power that created us. Not the pills, not something in the bottle, not something on the treadmill, but it's something that gave us life. It's actually, if you think that way, it's quite logical.
Yeah,
but it's free. That's the problem. Everyone has access to it, and everyone can get it for free, and there's no way to make money out of it. So I don't think modern medicine is going to ever to go down that track just because the structure and the motivation and how they survive in this world. It doesn't make a logical sense.
I'm like, it's an honest answer. I don't even know how you could have made up something actually to fit that answer. So perfect answer.
But I would hope them to, just ask people to go to see the sunrise and, just don't use sunscreen, and then all this money will be gone. So I don't see how they're going to do that.
Next question. Your journey bridges science and spirituality in a way that many still see as separate.
Mm-hmm.
How do you help people understand that these two worlds are deeply connected?
Well, I have to go back to the atom. That's quantum science. In the center of the atom is a nucleus, something we can see. Outside of it is a massive invisible field that's filled with electrons. And that's what makes up who we are and everything in the universe. So if you scale the nucleus in the middle up to the size of marble, that invisible field orbiting around it is like the size of a football field. So how do you explain that? Think about our body. It's what we see, and we're navigating the world with the five senses. But there's a massive field around us that we can't see. And how do you, is it scientifically proven exist, because that's quantum physics, quantum mechanics. It's been around for years and centuries, but we never actually saw that way. That's why the quantum biology is so beautiful. There's a branch of quantum physics. So you look at your body very different ever again, because this is really small, 1% of who we are. But we've been spending so much time of focusing on this body. We feed with good food, and we take it out for walks and runs. But we are focusing only 1% of who we are. So how do you explain, that electromagnetic field that extends to 10 feet around you? So it's not spirituality, it's science. But most people don't see it. They think they don't exist. And the first time I learned this is from Dr. Joe Dispenza. He is very good at bridge science and spirituality. So all his work is done by data by a panel of physicists and neuroscientists and PhDs. So I went to his 7-day retreat. It's not happening in that, but in the previous retreats, he has this EEG machines put on people's head. They watch people's emotional fluctuations and the movements of the brain waves through those machines. So you can see it's full of unbeatable data. So it's all collected by science, analyzed by science, and there's nothing woo-woo about the spirituality. It's just there, but because it's invisible, make it hard for us to visualize, because we really rely on these 5 senses to navigate the world, right? But that's beyond our senses. So that's, I think, is challenging for people. But if you really dive into and look at the work of Dr. Joe Dispenza, any quantum science is pretty blatantly obvious.
Thank you. Number 9. In today's fast-paced artificial world, how can someone realign with nature even if they live in a concrete jungle with little access to sunlight or natural elements?
I think that's one of the biggest challenges facing people in the modern life. We have all of this technologies which brought us inside. We used to be playing outside in the dirt with rocks and branches, and now we have all of this, games and apps and computer. So they are very addictive. So we stuck inside. But that doesn't mean we can't navigate this modern life still embracing nature. I'm a living proof. I've been on this journey for a long time, so I made so many different steps. My lifestyle has completely changed. Now we live in this house that built on the principle of nature. It's very low EMF. Simple things you can do. Hardwire your house so you don't have Wi-Fi, because Wi-Fi, the signal is very incongruent with our brain waves, which is the Schumann resonance, 7.83 hertz. That's how we communicate with the outer world. But the new technology has so much higher frequencies. So that really make a chaos in our cellular communication system. But you can just hardwire it and put a blue dimmer. We use Iris software. I'm not sure if you heard of it. Just install that software. Your screen become more orange warm instead of that, really harsh blue light. And opening the window and the doors when you are in the office will make a massive difference, because you're still getting the full spectrum sunlight hitting there, just mitigate. And just go, do everything you can during the day. And when the sun goes down, that's supposed to be our resting time. Our body automatically go into this relaxation state because there's no light to decipher anymore. But if we light up our home and the computer screen and the phone, and we're giving a wrong signal to our body, hey, you still need to keep working because it's noon, because that blue light on the screen is the intensity of the blue light at noon. So the body said, okay, actually I have to keep working. And because the signal I'm getting is not the nighttime, it's the daytime. So the body is keep working. And without that rest and the rejuvenation, all the cells is going to be worn out, like anyone, right? Like us. So light is very important, but the darkness is equally important, because that's what our biology is coupled on. We're supposed to work outside during the day and, embrace the darkness at night. But is that how we live life? Mm-hmm. We work so hard until midnight, and, that leave few hours for the body to relax. And then most of the time, the cells is trying to figure out what's going on. And he doesn't actually have time and a capacity to do everything. So that's what's going on inside our body. Chaos, if I use one word to describe.
Yeah, I agree with that. I've actually just watched a documentary about that too, about blue light and how it was invented and why. And that was,
Oh,
man, that was something I wish I probably didn't watch, but especially being a technology friendly person as I am. But whatever, golly, yeah, I agree with what you're saying. One of the things that I love, and I know there's a question that in here about that, talking about technology, but one of the things that I do love about AI is that it's allowing me to get my work done quicker so that I can spend less time in front of a computer. But I don't want to spend too much time on that because I don't know where it is, but there is a question about technology. I know we're going to spend more time on that.
Yeah, it's always ways to navigate this modern life without sacrificing your favorite thing to do.
Yeah.
Even those big tech tycoons like Jack Dorsey, he is living on the principle of light water magnetism, but he's also embracing tech because he's a tech guy. So there's always better ways to do things.
Yeah, there is. And it's not, but it's usually what's getting highlighted and marketed is what we need to have the most discernment with. It's like people, well, see, I'm going to go on a tangent. I'm going to shut up. Okay, question 10. Because the subject of technology, I love it. And it's so easy to talk about, but I will get stuck there for 3 hours. Okay. Many people experience healing plateaus where they start improving, but then get stuck. What quantum-based principle can help someone break through those plateaus?
Connect fully with nature. And if we depend on anything outside, right? Even the mind, like sometimes I feel people embracing spirituality can be quite forceful. They want to achieve a certain outcome, and especially when they see others achieve those absolutely amazing results, they're trying to force them.
Oh, yeah. God, that's oh boy.
But look at nature. Nature doesn't force. Nature just flows.
God, I'm going to get I have to comment on this. This is I talk about this a lot when I have people of faith on, regardless of faith, even evangelist or like, but having this conversation, like one of the things that always happens, especially in religious circles, is there's this religious competition that happens about being more holy than the next person or being more anointed or being more of the gifts. And it's a hard thing not to fall into, even though, every religious book I know of talks about killing your ego in one way or the other. Yet at the same time, here it is, our ego getting here going, I'm holier than you, or I'm more spiritual than you, or, it's that's why what you said really caught me, because it's like, it's a really strange thing, that phenomenon that happens. But what I've learned here recently, and you brought up nature and going with the flow of nature and the laws of nature. And I don't know why the laws of nature get poo-pooed by the religious community, because the most religious rules and laws are some form of, a natural law, a universal principle, but they can get a bad name. But there is something to all that, because like if we run too much to the light, in like, in other words, run from our shadows, run from our darkness, run from that, like we're setting ourselves up for failure, because there's going to be a point that we're not going to be so in the light. In the way that we perceive that setback is, oh, the demons did it to me, or I gave in to temptation and the demons got a hold of me. And And then we give power again to this external force instead of just looking within and understanding that we're going to mess up. We're going to make mistakes, and and to forgive yourself and move on. And I may not be making the point very well here that I wanted to make, but it just really reminded me of a lot of, because I would beat myself up with failure, because I would start telling myself, I'm a no good sinner, or I'm a failure, and I'm just, God's gonna hate me because I made this mistake, or I lost my temper, or whatever the mistake was. And that full swing, I think it takes us outside of ourselves, and we lose sight of what's really real.
Yeah.
And there's something about being present and just in tune with what's happening, to go back to one of the first things that we talked about with life happening for us. I mean, all that stuff is connected. I don't know if I really made a point here at all.
You did.
Okay.
You did. And those things that make us feel like we are not good enough, right? Why we tried so hard, I still didn't get to the point that other people achieved, for example. There's something I realized over the years. You know how I was talking about the light as an input and your electromagnetic field as output. So I was going through the same thing, learning from Joe Dispenza the first year, and I find it's really a battle that I won't win. I'm just like climbing this mountain so hard. But then I realized I'm working on the wrong end. I'm working on the output. I need to get my light right, because if I get my light right, and the output will be right. So that's why I'm focusing on the light. I feel that the light water magnetism is in a beautiful order. If you get the light right, everything becomes effortless.
Love it. It's perfect. That reminds me that also triggers the thought of the importance of rest, being present, having time alone, having a time in silence, recharging. This conversation is like giving me a flood of thoughts and emotions that I haven't really, thank goodness I'm going to get to see this again and be able to dive through it, because there's so many really healthy nuggets here that, like, we may be talking about one subject, but they transfer into multiple categories of life. And it's just really beautiful. Like, there's a lot of profound things happening that I wish I would have had a notepad to write all this down. Anyway, let's go to question 11. Do you believe everyone has the potential to heal themselves, or are there cases where external intervention is necessary? Where do we draw the line?
To answer the first question, I believe everyone can heal. You know, there is a certain time of life we might need something to help us to get our feet on the ground. When I was dealing with insomnia, I couldn't sleep for nights and nights. And then you can imagine how I look during the day, I was like a zombie. I don't want to die. And I had to take sleeping pills from now and then so I can have a little, rest at night, even if it's not high quality, but that's enough to keep me going, to do the things that I want to do, to get on my journey, to find the best version of me, right? So I believe that certain time people might need that boost, but just know that that's temporary. So that's a stick for you to hold on to come up. And then once you get on to the ground and you don't need it, you have everything you need. From the moment you're born into this world, it's called Mother Nature. And also you're given this power within you that's part of nature. So that's how I see it. We are quite lucky in certain way that in the society we're given those things that to give us, a life stick to keep us going. But that's it. That's, those things cannot be more than that. Yeah.
If human consciousness creates reality, as quantum physics suggests, how can someone shift their thoughts in a practical, daily way to improve their health and well-being?
Creating a reality of our dreams is from that electromagnetic field. So that the gigantic field, just remember we talked about that atom, that invisible field. So once again, that's the output. So to be able to do it effortlessly, we must make our brain work in orderly function, in orderly, not chaotic. Sometimes when we want to, for example, when we want to be a millionaire, I'm a millionaire, but you subconsciously you're thinking, oh, this is too expensive. Millionaires don't think that way. But the thing is, we can't convince us to believe it. So we have programs that we installed in our subconscious mind, stop us to believe what we want to have in our, in our life. So to make that easier, how do I help myself believe I'm a millionaire? So once again, our body need to work in a coherent way. So that will help everything. Once again, so the light comes in. I always come back to the light story. And also the practice I do is gratitude. Just appreciate everything, even the hard situations or the curveballs life throw at us. Once we understand all of things are there to help us to get to where we want to be, and then you have more appreciation than fighting, right? Yeah. So gratitude is great. Getting the light environment I think is critical, and there's so many other things you can do to open your heart, and that's when you actually create. If you close your heart, you cut off from that infinite field. When you open it, and then you connect it. So there's so many ways you can do, and also practice the heart-centered breathing, for example, focus on the heart. So the more you do that, the more likely your heart will be open. It's just so many things in life nowadays can cause people to close their hearts. Even traffic on the highway. Right? It's just a practice, I think, just a gratitude. And think about there's always different ways to see things. I always say everything is a diamond. It has so many facets to it. It's really our choice to choose what part of that we want to focus on.
Love it. Absolutely love that. Number 13. You've spoken about harnessing the power of nature and self. How does someone who feels disconnected from themselves start the process of reconnection?
It requires understanding. If someone believes the sun is bad, and that's going to be a big ask for them to go to connect to nature, right? So first thing is to really trigger that curiosity. Okay, so the current things I'm doing doesn't work. Well, looking into the science of the sunlight is not going to hurt me. Why not? Right? Once you understand the science behind it, it's easier to do it without forcement or without resistance. I think that's the first thing. Just spark the curiosity and look it up, what sun can do for us. There's so many literatures out there. And once you understand that, everything else will fall into place like effortlessly. You will see yourself start taking your sunglasses off. You stop putting sunscreen. You start going to watch the sunrise and put your feet on the sand and the grass. Those behaviors are driven by a set of beliefs. So the belief is really important. I can't convince my dad that Chairman Mao is not what he thinks. He will tell me, if you keep saying that, you're no longer my daughter. So I know that sometimes that belief that's stewed in our mind just controls everything we do.
Sure.
Yeah.
Gosh, I actually could have a whole separate broadcast with you about what you just said about Mao and your dad. Like that in itself is like, I had 10 questions pop in my head that I want to ask about that, because there's a lot of lessons in that life too. And
Yeah.
I'm sure that you've learned. Gosh, I'm kind of bugged I didn't even think to ask those questions, but anyway, this is amazing anyway. We'll have to do this again because I just want to ask more questions now. Number 14, if emotions and thoughts carry frequency, how do you personally shift out of low frequency states when life gets difficult?
Oh, I love this question. I remember we said that life is counterintuitive. That brings me to this amazing power of opposites. Everything is on the sliding scale, is the same, bad and good, right? So when bad things happen to me, and I would ask myself, I give you an example. I was parking my car in a supermarket between two cars close to the lines. So it was really narrow. I was parking to the line as well. So when I came back from the trip, there's another car parked on my right side that became available. But because I was parked close to line, so this gentleman came out and looked at me, and he said, "Bloody Asian driver." I froze at that moment. The program inside of me is like, yeah, fight. How can he say something like that? He didn't even know what happened. I didn't want to park there, right?
Yeah.
I had to, because the other car parked too close line. But in that moment, I had a choice. I either go fight and let anger take over me, or I can slide to the other side of the scale and make it something different. So I choose love. Even when it's so counterintuitive, every single cell in my body said fight. But no, I'm going to use the power of opposites, because the feeling I had from fighting doesn't really make me feel good. I want to go to the feel good side. So I said to him with open heart and smile, and I said, I can see it's difficult for you to come out, to try to squeeze. Let me move my car so it's make it easier for you. He was stunned. He was expecting a fight. I think that all his life, probably, the response he received or fight, but he never received a response that's completely opposite. He looked at me, literally paused for 5 seconds, and then he said, "It's okay. I can manage. Thank you." So the power in that moment is I could either make it a fight, make both our life more difficult, more upsetting, or I can make a decision to make it a beautiful encounter for both of us. And the gentleman walked past me and looked back at me. I think he was really, really stunned. He just didn't know what happened. So this is the power of opposites I carry in every situation. If that situation triggered me a response that doesn't make me feel loved and good, I move to the opposite, because when you do opposite, you feel opposite.
Isn't that Aikido?
Huh?
Isn't that very similar to the martial art Aikido?
I never heard of that.
Huh. I have to look that up. I don't know why. I've not practiced it. I don't know. The only martial art I've really done was Tai Chi, and yes, it's a martial art.
Oh yeah.
Anyone who disagrees, just kidding.
I
But
understand where you're coming from. When you're trying to push, you go back. So
yeah.
life is counterintuitive.
Yeah. Oh, wow. This is like, gosh.
I,
I just
I
added
use
50
this.
more questions to this, but we can't. We're just going to have to do it again. Okay. Number 15. If we fast forward 20 years into the future, do you believe humanity will be more in tune with quantum health, or are we moving further away from our natural healing abilities?
I completely optimistic about this in 20 years because in the last 5 years, I see this trend. More and more people awakening. More and more people are starting to question the norm. More and more people are starting to look for natural alternatives, or what do you call it, alternative medicine to attend their health. I think this having the conversation like this is much more easier than 5 years ago. 5 years ago is almost like a no-go zone. People label you as someone crazy, someone conspiracy, something like that.
Conspiracy theory?
Yeah, conspiracy theory. But now people start asking questions, which I love to see. So, this trend is showing me we're going on the right track, back to nature.
You should thank your local conspiracy theorists for that happening, because over the last 5 years, I think the conspiracy theorists have been proven more right than wrong.
Absolutely.
And so that means there's something to say about people who question what they're told.
Mm-hmm.
We're not as crazy as it may have seemed. Maybe it was crazy that you didn't ask questions. Like, God gave you a brain, use it.
Yeah. Oh, that's a golden nuggets there, Joshua.
Number 16. Here's our technology question. With artificial intelligence playing a bigger role in health and wellness, do you see a way AI and quantum healing can coexist, or are they fundamentally at odds?
Nothing is absolute in this world because we're living in a relative world. Remember, everything is relative thanks to Albert Einstein. Everything has the purpose. AI, same as cell phones and televisions, all have the purpose in this evolution. What concerns me is how we use them. They ultimately are tools. If we give our power to them and let them control our lives, that's not good. I use AI to do the things I don't want to do, and I want to focus on those most value-adding things and something I'm good at, right? And then that really helped me. Same as everything, there's always a good and bad because they're the same thing, with the two sides of coin, right? I think the most critical part is how we use them. Always be in control of the tools. Ultimately, they are the tools to help us to achieve our purpose, not something that controls and drives our life. I think looks like you're impressed.
It was a good answer. It was a great answer. I mean, that another one of those answers that would have set me off for a 4-hour sermon. Oh, but I'm going to shut up because I don't need to say anything. You said it perfectly in 30 seconds, not 4 hours. All right. I get long-winded. Number 17. Do you think mainstream health systems will ever fully integrate quantum principles, or will it always remain a path for the few who seek it out?
I don't know the answer for that one, but I see there's a trend for alternative medicine to go in that way. Decentralized medicine is something I absolutely advocate, because we get rid of the farmers, big farmers, and get rid of the things that filter out the information. I believe there should be nothing between the health provider and the health, right? Yeah. And we must be fully transparent and give the patients or the clients their full consent to do whatever they decide to do. There's no forcing, there's no alluring, and it's happened in the last 5 years. We don't want to get into, but I think it's really just about educating people and letting them get the full picture and fully informed, and they can make the decisions for themselves.
Yeah. There is an opportunity for that right now that's at play, but what people need to be aware of is that most of the pharmaceutical companies are now technically technology companies. And that's a whole long conversation that we don't have time for. But technology, medicine, education, everything's changing because of AI.
Yeah.
And there is an opportunity for this to work out for our benefit. But it takes us being active participants in our own life. It takes us advocating for ourselves, our rights, our freedoms as global citizens. As I'm not one that probably don't need to say this, but I don't care so much about borders like other people. Like I would rather live in a world that was harmonious with everyone else, and we could all get along. We could travel to China and Russia and North Korea and other parts of the world and share ideas. And, I mean, my gosh, it's a big world, and I don't want to be, I'm not anyone's enemy. I don't so I don't care about borders. I understand why they're there. I understand why we have them. I understand these things, but want to live in a world that we all have a chance to thrive equally. And I don't have any sympathy for people who are lazy, because I know people that are quadriplegics that would run circles around, people that aren't disabled. They have passion, and they're living for something that's bigger than themselves. And the opportunity, technology really gives us that opportunity to live those lives if we want them. But we really need to be active participants and not just go along like a bunch of sheep, going, okay, governor, okay, senator, okay, president, okay, mayor, okay, whatever you say, like everything's great. And I understand that we need to, that we respect authority. However, if something doesn't feel right, you should ask questions.
Yeah.
And
Totally
if not, then the horror movies that we grew up watching about the future dystopian worlds will happen. But there's also an opportunity for every one of us to be free. But you have to be aware to see it. Anyway, that's another one of those things I could have gone off on, and I won't. But like AI is such an important tool if it's looked at as a tool. But if we look at it as a savior, we're going to be enslaved by it.
There's so many great tools out there. Not every one of them is the same. But it's really just to find out the one that works for you, to help you achieve your purpose. I think that's very, very important.
It's there. The tools are there for all. And they're accessible. Even if you're disabled, doesn't matter. Mentally ill, doesn't matter.
Yeah.
They're accessible now where they weren't before.
I see that actually happening in this world, seeing what El Salvador is doing. It's really, it's very inspiring to see. I'm optimistic.
Me too. I'm not naive, but I'm optimistic.
Yeah.
Question 18. What is one simple daily habit that could have the most profound effect on someone's long-term health and energy? And I think you've already answered the question, but let's see.
Yeah. Get outside and watch sunrise. Wear at least as the clothes that you can. Put your feet on the grass. So this is the best medicine. And I always say the sunlight is the best supplement. that we all need. If you could just doing that, my daily habit in the morning, I just open the sliding door and I get all the full spectrum sun in. I actually, is it appropriate to say, I'll just lie down there fully not undressed and I get this red light from the sun. That's my daily red light therapy.
One of the biggest influences in my life as a producer, Rick Rubin, famous from the Beastie Boys and hip hop and Johnny Cash, and like he's produced some of the most amazing records ever. And he doesn't play musical instruments, by the way. He has no musical talent, but he's got a gift, and it's pretty unique. But anyway, that's what he does every single morning. He goes butt naked, full frontal morning sun on his body. That's how he starts every day. And in multiple interviews, he's talked about this and talking about the benefits and how life-changing it's been for him from a mental health standpoint, physical health, you name it.
He had a heart surgery as well. And he's a good friend.
Oh, you know who he is?
Oh my gosh, he's a good friend of my mentor, Dr. Jack Cruz. Rick Rubin had Dr. Jack Cruz on his podcast, teaching Dr. Andrew Huberman about quantum science.
Oh,
I can send to you the 3 parts. It's absolutely mind-blowing.
Well, I would listen to that. By the way, I know you've told me about Dr. Cruz, and I was randomly going through a cycle of my deep dive and information, and I'm not going to talk about the subject matter here because it'll take us into a place I'm very comfortable going. But again, I don't, we don't talk. Him and I have a lot in common. The way that we see the world, I'm like, you know what? I think I'm a big fan of Dr. Cruz now. Because he was talking about something I had no idea he would ever talk about. And sure enough, he does. So I'm a fan. I'm converted now.
Well, I love him.
I know you do. I never heard of him until you. So now I understand on a deeper level why you're a fan, because I am too. All right. Number 19. I think I know this answer too. I think I know the answer, but you may surprise me. If you could have a conversation with one scientist or spiritual leader from history, who would it be and what would you ask them?
I think you're thinking about Jack Cruz, and that's going to happen. But one of the scientists I want to talk to, if I can, is Albert Einstein. His work is we're still catching up with his work. 1905, this is over 100 years. He has the deepest thinking. I don't know, his mind is absolutely giant magnet. I just want to sit down with him to get a glimpse into his mind, understand what made him do what he did. The 3 things he taught me on this journey. The photoelectric effect. So we can't harness the sunlight directly, but we have to use electrons. That's why we have electrons outside the atoms. That's the carrier of sunlight.
Yeah.
So that's how I understand it. Another one, the equation, very famous, E equals mc squared. That's how I understand. E stands for energy, M stands for mass. They're actually the same. So our body is actually also energy, but only looks different because c squared, the speed of light. So we are light through and through. That make me understand that, how we say we are beings of light.
Yeah.
That's how I understood scientifically. So when at the speed of light, everything is wave and energy, so it's unseen, right? But when light slows down, becomes matter. So that becomes the 3D world universe that we see. But they are the same thing, just different speed of light. So we are all energy. We are beings of light playing an energy game on this world, in this world. give me goosebumps. I'm just having goosebumps all over just talking about this. And it's so fascinating.
It really is. Oh gosh, that's another fun. I just need to come to New Zealand. Okay, number 20.
I'd love to see you.
Oh, I'm coming to New Zealand. I may bring in some people with me too, but we're coming to New Zealand. Anyway, you talk about the power of light in healing. We've talked about it a lot. If you could design your perfect, you kind of already done it. But anyway, I'll let you tell the audience.
Yeah.
You talk about the power of light in healing. If you could design your perfect home, how would you optimize it for light, water, and magnetism?
Oh, love this. We're living in this house because of Dr. Jack Krus's work. And he actually built a 5G proof house in US. So that's the time I was listening. And I said, I want to build a home like that. So we moved away from population. So when you come around here, Joshua, you will see this home is located by the beach, surrounded by pine tree forest. Pine trees is very amazing because it's block and absorb non-native EMF. So if you drive in through the forest, there's no signal, nothing. So that's really just number one is to live somewhere a little bit more remote away from population density. Because when you are in city and all the apartments, they all have Wi-Fi. So you are basically in the Wi-Fi suit. So when you are, our next neighbor is, I don't know how many, 30 meters away. So we don't get the Wi-Fi. Yeah, so that's number one. I know it's not available to anyone. But so we have a concrete floor. We had a debate on that. We used to have a wooden floor, which I love, but concrete floor is grounded to Mother Earth. So I walk in bare feet every day and I'm grounded. I'm picking up all of this our Mother Earth's electrons and energy. We have a red light at night. So we don't use light at all in summer because at 9:30 it's still bright. So you don't need light. Wow. But in winter, became dark at 5. So we need some kind of light. We have red light to navigate the house. And we have this amber lighting. It's called the sunset. It's an orange. It's beautiful, warm light. And then we have rainwater. And then we talk about how you can actually make your technological environment a little bit less intrusive, right? And also in this, in my office, I just stuck a steel post outside in the dirt, hammered into the earth, and put a wraparound a copper wire on one end. Yeah, copper wire, so it's conductive. So the other end now is underneath my foot. So even here, I'm grounded.
I actually watched a TikTok video of someone doing that, and it caught my curiosity. I'm making notes for when I move and I set up my sanctuary, all the different things I'm going to have, because I'm going to have to avoid. And I love people. I love big cities. I love giant buildings. I love all that stuff. But for my own health and sanity, I can't be around it like I want to be. So yeah, I've been designing my EMF safe house.
Yeah, that's great. That's great. I remember first time I saw you and I commented on your earpod. Remember that?
Oh yeah, I know.
That way, you never want to put that anywhere close to your brain. This is all.
And you think I know better too. I don't like. I talk with my hands. Yeah. And so when I have the headphones on with the cord, like I always yank it out. I always, because I'm a hand talker, and so the earbuds, are the most convenient, but then I started reading about what I was actually doing to my brain. I'm going, well, I'm definitely not helping my condition any. So like,
I'm so glad. I'm so glad.
oh,
Oh,
it's so weird that like I get along better with robots than I do humans, even though I love humans. But I like my robot. I love technology. Yet at the same time, it's the thing that, is trying to kill me too.
yeah.
So,
Use it smartly. There's always a better way.
oh,
Yeah, people just worry that, they have to flip their life completely and then they're going to go back to the jungles. No, you don't have to go back to the jungle.
yeah, no drunk. That's hilarious. All right, the last question. It's the last question. What is a question that you've never been asked that you've always wanted to be asked on a podcast interview?
This is an interesting question. Something I've been thinking about lately is what is true freedom?
Okay. So what
Yeah.
is true freedom, Alison?
Good question. I've never been asked about that.
Thought of it myself.
I was thinking true freedom is living an extraordinary life without any external assistance except for nature. And I'm living it. I don't need any supplements. I don't need like anything. I'm a happy girl when I'm standing on the beach, feeling the heartbeat of Mother Earth. I'm just so full of love. And I can cry just seeing a little shell that I find on the beach. That connection to Mother Earth and life itself makes me feel so free. I can go anywhere, knowing that I have all the power within me and around me. To me, that's total freedom. I'm not bounded by anything. I don't have to worry about, I need to take this and need to take that. I can go anywhere just with nothing. I can live a beautiful life.
Such a beautiful final answer. Alison, this has been a delight for me. I've gotten to know you even more than I knew you already, which was even, we just met each other a few months ago. But yeah, I'm a big fan of you. And I would love for you to have the final word, but please make sure you plug everything you want to plug, but have the final word. It's literally anything on your heart to share. The floor is yours.
Well, thank you so much. I really, really appreciate you. I love you as this person with a big heart, and I can see that first time I met you. So thank you. What I say is never underestimate your power. And that's been given to you from the first time you came to this world, and embrace that. Sometimes we can get lost, but it is within you. Find it and use it and become that powerful person beyond measure that you're meant to be. And a beautiful life is just at your fingertips. And if you want to learn more about the quantum house and the magic of spirituality, and you can find me on my YouTube channel called Alison Davis Glows. And I upload videos every week. Another thing is I have a beautiful food forest that I love. And that's the way, there's something I want to inspire others to actually start growing their own food as well. It doesn't need to be big. You can always start it with small, but it's not just about growing food. It's about growing yourself, connect with Mother Nature, and learn the wisdom from her. Oh my gosh, that's the best school we should be going in. That's it.